Shiori, completely frantic. Here she is, desperately trying to explain to Minami that making it into the top rankings wasn't part of some sudden hidden agenda. She's practically waving her hands in a panic, terrified he might misunderstand the wild situation they'd suddenly found themselves in.
And that defense, it quickly turns into a super vulnerable confession. You can see her blushing so deeply as she admits that all those times she asked him for advice, it was actually about Yakuen. And now, standing right at the finish line, she drops a heartbreaking truth. She doesn't even know if they want to change pairs anymore.
Minami just watches her quietly. He's really taken in the unmistakable fact that she is beet red all the way to her ears, completely overwhelmed just thinking about being a married couple with Jirou. It's a lot to process. Then, out of nowhere, Minami hides his face in his hand. He's suddenly struck by this massive rush of thoughts about how his own life is going to change with this swap. Naturally, this reaction immediately prompts a panicked, flustered apology from Shiori, who totally thinks she's upset him. But he quickly regains his composure and reassures her. He tells her he has absolutely no problems with it. He explains that he spends most of his time at his part-time job or at school anyway, so a shift in his living situation really isn't going to trouble him at all. Minami smiles warmly, agreeing that an option satisfying everyone is best. And guys, this brings us to the massive turning point we have all been waiting for. But on the other side of this huge victory are Jirou and Akari. Look at them sitting there in this stunned, heavy silence as they try to process the crazy reality that they actually placed sixth. The physical distance between them on the floor perfectly captures the sudden, crushing weight of this moment. Akari realizes this quiet moment is nothing like the dozens of times she pictured excitedly shouting Tenjin's name. Instead, just staring at her phone, she is completely speechless. It's this hollow, conflicted feeling she was not prepared for in the slightest. Forcing a smile, Akari tells Jirou to hurry up and be happy that they actually accomplished their goal. But meanwhile, Jirou is silently reflecting on all the times he pictured being stuck as her husband till the very end, processing this massive shock entirely internally. She playfully slaps his back, cheering that they got an A and worked so hard for it. But beneath that forced smile, she is desperately trying to mask the fact that she has absolutely no idea what kind of face to make right now. Faced with this forced cheer, Jirou reacts with this sort of downcast resignation. He acknowledges that they're going to need to go talk with their respective crushes now, formally and painfully, telling Akari that he is in her care for their final 2 weeks together. As he walks out of the room, Jirou bitterly thinks to himself that Akari has obviously already made her decision to swap. The physical separation of that door closing right between them completely mirrors the emotional wall he's putting up. Alone in his room, Jirou just collapses onto his bed. He's cursing himself for getting way too comfortable with Akari. He grabs his hair in total frustration, reminding himself harshly that they literally only have half a month left. Staring up at the ceiling, all that anger just fades into a deep sadness. He wonders if they've naturally fallen for each other after living together for half a year, and he's agonizing over what she would have said if he had simply found the courage to ask to stay as her partner. A single tear slips down Jirou's face as he quietly agonizes over whether this is really all there is to their relationship. He's wondering if it's truly enough to just let it all end like this. It's absolutely heartbreaking to watch. Now, out on the balcony, Akari's cheerful facade completely crumbles. She breaks down, weeping, as she realizes the summer just went by way too fast. She desperately wants to do more with Jirou, literally crying out to the night that she refuses to be separated from him. She agonizes over the fact that she can't just selfishly demand he stay. She knows that because he's so nice and constantly puts up with her selfishness, he would absolutely sacrifice his own feelings and just accept it if she asked. Trembling in the cold September air, she cries out into the night, wishing Jirou was more of a scummy guy. She reasons that if he were terrible, she wouldn't have noticed all of his undeniably good qualities. She looks up at the moon, and her mind jumps back to a really specific, tender memory. She remembers the time the wind blew just like this, and he brought her hot milk, calling her by her first name for the very first time. And then the heartbreaking realization washes over her completely. Jirou won't make hot milk for her when she's feeling down anymore, and he won't ever call her by her name again once they are separated. Burying her face in her hands as the tears freely fall, Akari finally admits the unavoidable truth out loud to herself. She is completely in love with him. Meanwhile, right on the other side of her door, Jirou stands solemnly holding their matching J and A mugs. He is fully aware that this impending separation isn't the same as just breaking up. It is the absolute erasure of a shared life. As he drinks from his mug and she continues to cry alone on the balcony, the heavy truth settles on them both. If they let go of this hand now, they know it will never come back to them. So, the question we have to leave you with in this explainer is this. When the goal you thought you wanted finally arrives,
Are you brave enough to realize it's no longer the future you need?